I'm Jillian.
And I'm Ivan.
And now you are watching
Russian Around. So, today we want to introduce you to the upcoming presidential elections in Russia. And even there's like a lot of people who think that these elections are fake, not real, and we basically know who would win, and that's probably true. But still, by our opinion, that's one of the most politically active and interesting elections that Russia has seen since 2000.
And what we thought we would do is give you a rundown of what the current state of the elections are here in Russia, who the candidates are, and what they're talking about. So first, a general structure of the elections. Unlike the US, where we have a complicated system of primaries and electoral colleges, the elections process in Russia is fairly simple. One day is devoted to a common secret ballot that all of the country partakes in. If a candidate receives 50% plus one of the votes in the country, that candidate is the winner. If none of the candidates are able to achieve that 50%, a runoff election is had. So this upcoming election happening next week features 8 candidates, and most of these candidates have acquiesced that they don't really have a chance in the election. It's just an opportunity for them to get their voices heard. We'd like to introduce you to at least some of these candidates. We won't go over all 8, but we'll talk about at least 4 that we find the most interesting. The others have been running in the elections for an incredibly long time. Many don't view them very seriously. Some of them will only gather less than 1% of the vote. But the 4 that we're going to talk about today are the ones that have the most developed platforms and have some kind of ideas behind what they're talking about. The first candidate we want to tell you about is Ksenia Sobchak. She gained a lot of fame in Russian society as a host of a slew of TV shows over the years, and later as a journalist anchoring the main opposition channel Dost. Interestingly enough, her current political platform features no major issues, except for one, and that is opposition against all candidates. Right now on the ballot in Russia, there's no opportunity to vote "I'm against everyone." Ksenia hopes to change this by having everyone who is against all of the candidates actually vote for her instead.
The second candidate is Pavel Durov, and so he named nowadays as the candidate from people. What's interesting about him that he's gathered around himself a majority of opposition power, some structured opposition like Communist Party and some national patriotic powers. And they decided that, well, we can't do anything separately, but if we gather together, maybe we stand a chance. He's not a member of a Communist Party, so in his life he's kind of combining the socialist ideals with a business, real private business. And the most interesting thing about him is that when he just started his campaign, he was allowed to speak on the federal channels, and basically everyone had a positive attitude to him. But once he started to gather popularity and people started to respond to him, then there started a real anti-campaign for this guy. All the federal channels and a lot of news was saying how bad is he and how no one can vote for him.
The next candidate we want to talk about probably needs no introduction, but we'll say a few words about him anyway. Vladimir Putin has been president of the Russian Federation ever since 2000. That means there's an entire generation, basically all those who are now approaching the age of 18, who have known no other president besides Vladimir Putin, other than a small 4-year break with Dmitry Medvedev in 2004.
The last candidate, which is not really a candidate, but he was hoping to become so. This is Alexei Navalny, corruption fighter who built his political image from the scratch, making videos on YouTube about how he was exposing the corruption in Russia. And so he gained a lot of followers around the country, and probably he's the reason why some political process started to appear and started to flow in Russia. So he's offering another option to Russian people, and this is the boycott. So he's offering not to go vote for these elections because he considers them completely not real, and he's just calling for the people go there as observers and see how is it all going to avoid a major falsification of the results. So even that's not going to be a surprise who would win in these elections, because that's pretty clear to many of the people, but still, in my experience, I never saw Russia so politically active as I see it in these elections.
Even though a large majority of Russians still support Putin, his approval numbers have been slipping. It's uncertain exactly where this trend will go, But it's possible that in the next election, there might be some kind of change in how Russians feel. It's clear that they're becoming more and more discontented. It's just unclear where exactly that discontent will take them. So if you like this topic and you're interested in learning more, like us and subscribe, and comment if you want to see what happens next with the elections process. If we get a big enough response, we'll head over to the polls next week, and we will give you an insider view in what the elections process here in Russia is actually like.
We hope that this video was interesting for you, and we're going to see you next week
On our Russian Around channel. Bye!
Bye.